Begs, if I tell him, he might want to marry me or feel obligated to stay. And I don't want that. Becky, I just want my baby. Becky sighed. Amanda Morgan had everything figured out. She was 30, bold, beautiful, and the acting CEO of her late father's company, Morgan and Co. With poise and brains, she had taken over the business after his passing, running it alongside her mother, Mrs. Morgan, the real backbone of the company, even while her father was alive. Amanda had always admired her mother's strength, but she had also seen the cost of that strength. Her father, charismatic, successful in public, yet privately controlling, often dismissed his wife's opinion, even though it was her ideas that kept the company afloat. Amanda remembered the late nights when her mom would sit in the living room going through balance sheets while her father watched TV. And yet, at every board meeting, it was her father who got the applause. From her teenage years, Amanda had quietly vowed no man would ever silence her. One Wednesday morning, as she sat at the breakfast table with half-eaten slice of toast on her plate, scrolling through emails on her phone, her mother, dressed in a beautiful dress, stirred her tea slowly, watching her. "You need to start thinking of marriage," Mrs. Morgan said, gently but firm. Amanda didn't even glance up. "Mom, I'm not interested." "You're not getting younger, Amanda. 30 isn't small. I'm already praying for you, my darling." Amanda set her phone down and gave her mother a sharp look. "Mommy, you prayed for yourself and still married a man who never saw your worth. Please." Mrs. Morgan sighed, stirring her tea a little faster now. "Amanda, not all men are like your father." Amanda smirked, her voice cool. "Until I meet the one who is different, count me out." Mrs. Morgan didn't respond immediately. She just stared at her daughter with that mixture of pride and concern only mothers know how to carry. "You know love can be different if you give it a chance," she said softly. Amanda stood up and picked her phone. "Until I see that difference with my two eyes, Mom, I'd rather stay single and successful. I know I want a child, yes, but husband, no, thank you, Mom." She walked out, her heels clicking confidently against the tiled floor. But somewhere deep inside her, a small part of her wondered, what if Mommy was right? If there was one thing Mrs. Morgan refused to do, it was give up. She believed with every fiber of her being that Amanda still had time to change her mind about marriage, and so she took it upon herself to help. Over the next year, Amanda found herself sitting across from a long line of serious men. There was Wale, the bank manager who wouldn't stop checking his Rolex and talking about interest rates. There was Dayo, the engineer who nervously asked if she cooked often and if she was the submissive type. There was Pastor John, who smiled too much and asked if she had ever considered giving up her career to focus on full-time ministry. And then there was Tunji, the flashy real estate mogul, who came to dinner wearing 3 chains and called her babe before they even placed their order. After every dinner, Amanda would call Becky to rant. "He wore so much perfume, I almost choked." Amanda groaned one night. "You're not smelling perfume, you're smelling your trauma." Becky replied with a chuckle. "Don't start, Bex." "No, seriously, you've turned marriage into a scary monster. Not every man wants to own you." "Maybe," Amanda said, swelling her wine glass. "But I don't want to be trapped. I just want a child. A child won't cheat on me. A child won't expect me to make myself smaller just to make him feel like a man." Becky sighed. "You sound like your heart is tired." Amanda looked away. "Honestly, it is." What started as a passing thought slowly turned into research. Quiet searches at night, forums, YouTube videos, personal blogs. She read everything she could find about single motherhood by choice. She bookmarked international IVF clinics from Greece, Denmark, and to one in South Africa. She even drafted an email to a fertility specialist in Canada, explaining that she was ready to be a mom but not a wife, although she never sent them. "You're really serious about doing this alone?" Becky asked her one Saturday afternoon while they walked around the quiet art gallery. Amanda nodded. "Yes. Becky, I want a child, but I don't want to be with a man. I don't want a husband. I don't want anyone policing me around." Becky stared at her, then squeezed her hand gently. "Then I'll be the baby's godmother and favorite auntie in the whole world." Amanda smiled, but deep down she still wondered, was there really no man in this world who wouldn't disappoint her? It had been a long week at the office. Between managing board expectations and pushing deadlines and avoiding her mother's constant matchmaking messages, Amanda barely had time to breathe. Morgan & Co. was expanding, and the board had decided it was time to build a new corporate headquarters, something bold and modern, a symbol of growth. Amanda had led the charge, requesting proposals from top architectural firms. That Friday afternoon, her team gathered in the conference room to review the short-listed firms. Amanda walked in late, clutching her tablet and muttering, "Let's make this quick. I've got 2 other meetings before close of the day." 3 firms were scheduled to pitch. The first 2 came in with glossy booklets and flashy presentations. Words like cutting edge, next level, and a future-proof workspace flew across the room. Amanda nodded politely, but felt nothing. Then the third team walked in. 3 men, but it was the last one, tall, calm, with a rolled-up drawing in hand, who caught her attention. He didn't rush to speak. He waited until everyone was seated before introducing himself. "Good afternoon. My name is Nelson Felix," he said, simple and clear. "Our vision isn't about building something trendy. It's about creating something timeless." He walked them through a clean, thoughtful design, open but warm, bold but not loud. Amanda didn't say much during the presentation. She just noticed how he met her eyes when he spoke. Not with arrogance, just quiet confidence. Later that evening, as the team discussed their favorites, Amanda said, "Shortlist the third firm." Her assistant blinked. "Nelson's team?" Amanda nodded. "I want to hear more about his ideas." That same evening, she received a polite thank you email from him. It read, "Miss Morgan, thank you for the opportunity to present today. I admire the vision you're building at Morgan & Co., and I will be happy to discuss the project further over coffee if your schedule allows. Regards, Nelson Felix." She read it twice before replying. The next week, they met at a quiet cafe tucked into a side street in Ikoyi. "I appreciate your approach," she said over a cup of tea. "You don't oversell." "I believe good work speaks for itself," he replied. "Besides, you're not someone who needs to be convinced easily." Amanda smirked. "You read me well." That night, she called her best friend Becky. "There is this architect, his name is Nelson." Becky lit up on the other end. And he's a fine man, Abby?" Amanda laughed. "Bex, he's not my type." "Liar! Say the truth, he's giving potential baby daddy energy, yes or no?" Amanda rolled her eyes. "Can I at least finish my gist?" But she didn't deny it. She liked that Nelson wasn't trying too hard. He wasn't loud, he wasn't fake. He was thoughtful, present, and when he listened, it felt like he really heard her. So naturally, she pulled back. She kept things professional. She smiled, laughed, but never let him in too deep. Amanda never planned to fall, but falling didn't ask for permission. At first, things with Nelson were light, easy. Professional emails became playful chat. Coffee dates turned into dinners. Dinners turned into long drives with music playing low, their conversations floating between work, books, childhood, and sometimes silence that said more than words. Amanda liked the way he didn't push. He didn't ask what they were or what was going on. He didn't try to define anything, and that gave her the space to breathe. One Saturday evening, she invited him over. Nothing fancy, just grilled chicken, jollof rice, and a bottle of red wine. They ate on a balcony, Lagos lights glowing in the distance, the city humming softly beneath them. Nelson talked about his mother, how she raised three boys alone after their father had left. Amanda listened closely, resting her chin on her palm, her heart inching towards a place she wasn't ready to name. Sometimes I wonder if love really works, Nelson said, swirling wine in his glass. But when I'm with you, it doesn't feel like I'm wandering anymore. Amanda didn't say anything. She looked at him, really looked at him. This man who had crept into her life so gently. She hadn't noticed how deeply he had settled in. Later that night, as they stood in her hallway, he leaned in and kissed her. It was soft at first, then firmer. She didn't flinch, she didn't panic, she didn't stop him. When they pulled away, she rested her head against his chest. Afterwards, they sat on the couch, the wine bottle almost empty, the music playing low. They talked about nothing and everything, how Amanda once wanted to be a painter, how Nelson loved swimming in the rain as a boy. Then there was a pause, a long, quiet one. Nelson turned to her. Amanda, I think I'm falling for you. Amanda didn't answer with words. She leaned and kissed him, slow and certain. He kissed her back, gently at first, then with urgency. Her words didn't come up this time. For the first time in years, she allowed herself to feel everything. One thing led to another, the wine, the comfort, the pool. Neither of them fought anymore. That night, Amanda let Nelson into her heart, her soul, and her body. They started seeing each other more often after that. Not daily, but often enough that Becky started giving her side eyes. So you and Nelson are a thing now? Becky asked one afternoon, stirring iced coffee as they sat outside a small cafe in Lekki. We are just enjoying the moment. We are not a thing. You liar. Becky gave her a look. You? Misguided. Enjoying the moment. Please stop. I'm not a kid. Amanda smiled. It's not that deep. But there's no pressure, no labels. But it was deep and she knew it. She let herself enjoy him. The way he texted, "Did you eat?" instead of "What are you doing?" The way he remembered little things like how she liked her eggs, how she hated voicemail, how she couldn't sleep if the room was too warm. He never asked her to be softer, yet somehow she was. But then, life reminded her why she built her walls in the first place. It all started with a missed period. Amanda didn't panic at first. Her cycle had been irregular before. She gave it a few days, then a week, then another week. Something in her shifted. She went to a pharmacy nearby, bought a test kit on a random Thursday night, and took it the next morning. Even before brushing her teeth, before checking her emails, or before her usual morning coffee. There it was, 2 pink lines. She stared at it for so long, her legs went numb. Amanda felt everything all at once. It was joy, it was fear, panic, hope, guilt, and confusion. She had wanted a child, yes. She had thought about it, researched, prayed and dreamed, but not like this. Not without preparation, not without telling him, not while still healing from everything she thought was over, not while being with Nelson. She placed her hand over her stomach. "Oh God," she whispered, "what do I do now?" Amanda didn't cry. She just sat there, frozen, heart loud and mind racing. She didn't tell Nelson, she didn't tell anyone. She kept the news to herself, wearing it like an invisible coat, heavy, silent, tightly buttoned to the neck. Every time her phone buzzed with Nelson's messages, "Just thinking about you," or "Let me know if you're free tonight," she stared blankly at the screen and dropped the phone. She didn't reply. She didn't block him either. That would have meant she was angry, and she wasn't. She was just scared. Scared of being loved the way her mother was. Scared of needing someone who might one day stop seeing her. So she pulled away. She said she was busy. She cancelled their lunch dates. She buried herself in meetings. She poured her energy into emails and board presentations and stock reports, anything just to quiet the scream in her chest. That weekend, Becky came over with packs of fried rice and spicy wings. "Your face looked tired," Becky said, kicking off her shoes and settling into Amanda's couch. "Are you okay?" "I'm fine," Amanda replied too quickly. "You've been acting strange," Becky said, handing her a plate. "You've ghosted Nelson. You haven't returned my calls. This is me, babe. Your bestie. Please talk to me." Amanda hesitated. She bit her lower lip, staring at the food. "Becky, I am pregnant." Becky blinked. "Wait, what?" Amanda turned to her face. "I found out just 3 weeks ago. I took the test 3 times. 3 times just to be sure it wasn't a mistake." Becky sat up. "Oh my God. Babe, are you okay? How do you feel?" "I don't know, Bex. I don't know," Amanda said. "I've always wanted a child, but I didn't want it to come with all these emotions." Becky frowned. "So that's why you've been avoiding Nelson?" Amanda nodded. "Bex, if I tell him, he might want to marry me or feel obligated to stay, and I don't want that. Becky, I just want my baby." Becky sighed. "Amanda, you're scared and I get it. But this isn't about you anymore. Nelson deserves to know. What if he changes after we get married? What if he becomes like my father?" Becky walked over and took her hand. "Then don't marry him, but don't shut him out either. Don't let fear make decisions for you. He deserves a chance." Amanda's eyes welled with tears. "I'm not ready to share this yet." "I know, but when you are, just remember you do not have to go through this alone." Later that week, Mrs. Morgan noticed something as well. They were in the kitchen on a quiet Saturday evening. Mrs. Morgan was kneading dough for meat pie, while Amanda leaned against the counter, sipping water. "You're glowing," Mrs. Morgan said, not looking up. "Pregnancy really suits you." Amanda's hand paused mid-air. "What?" "My darling, I carried 2 children," her mother continued. "I know what early pregnancy looks like, and you're carrying it in your face and your mood." Amanda stared into her cup. Her lips trembled, but no words came out. Mrs. Morgan turned to her gently. "My love, you do not have to go through it alone." Amanda blinked away, the sting in her eyes. "But I want to, Mom," she whispered. Her mother gave her a small sad smile. "That's not true. You're just used to being alone. You have a sister, yet no one even knows. Why? You need the love and support you can get." Amanda didn't argue, because for once, her mother was right. Nelson was worried. Amanda hadn't replied to his messages in weeks. The silence wasn't just unusual, it felt so wrong. He sensed something was off, and it gnawed at him every day. He decided not to call or text again. Instead, he drove straight to her house after work on a Friday evening. Nelson knocked softly, shifting nervously from foot to foot. Moments later, Mrs. Morgan opened the door, looking pleasantly surprised. "Nelson," she greeted warmly, "this is so unexpected." He managed a polite smile. "Good evening, ma. I came to see Amanda. Is she around?" Mrs. Morgan gave him a gentle look, almost sympathetic. "Come in, darling, she's resting." Nelson entered the living room, his heart thudding in his chest. The air felt thick with tension. Amanda walked into the living room seconds later, freezing when her eyes met his. "Nelson," she whispered, clearly startled. Mrs. Morgan read the atmosphere immediately. "I'll leave you two to talk," she said. Silence filled the room as she left. Nelson watched Amanda. He noticed subtle changes. A softer eyes, a quiet sadness. "Babe, are you okay?" he asked softly. His eyes searched hers. Amanda looked down, trying to control her breathing. She had rehearsed 1,000 different ways to say it, yet words failed her completely. "Amanda, please talk to me. Why have you been avoiding me? Did I hurt you?" "No," she whispered, shaking her head. "It's not you." His voice gentle yet firm. "Then talk to me. Tell me what's wrong. I care about you, Amanda, and I'm here." The tears build up. She couldn't hide them from him. Not anymore. She inhaled slowly, gathering all the strength she had left. Nelson, I am pregnant, she said, her voice barely audible. Nelson froze, shock washing over his face. His expression was unreadable for a moment, then softened into confusion and hurt. You're pregnant? He echoed slowly. And you didn't think I had the right to know? Amanda looked away, ashamed. I didn't want you to feel forced to stay. I didn't want you to be pressured on putting a ring on my finger. I never wanted you to feel like you had to stay with me. Nelson took a moment, absorbing her words. Then he reached for her hand gently. Amanda, listen carefully, he began. I have never once asked you to change your dreams. I have never wanted you to become someone else. Why would pregnancy suddenly make me want to own you? She shook her head, her voice breaking. Because it changes things. It traps you. I saw my mother trapped by my father's expectations. She lost herself trying to please him. I promised myself I would never let that happen again. Not to me. Nelson tightened his hold on her hand, looking directly into her eyes. I am not your father, Amanda, and you are not your mother. I fell for exactly what I saw. I saw a strong, smart, and independent woman, and I fell in love with that. Why would I ask you to shrink yourself when that's exactly what made me fall in love with you in the first place? Amanda's eyes widened at the word love. She stared at him in disbelief. Nelson continued. I won't pretend this isn't unexpected, but Amanda, I am here because I chose to be. Not because I feel forced, not because I have to, but because I genuinely want to be part of your life and our child's life. Her eyes filled with fresh tears, this time from relief. You really mean it, Nelson? I mean every single word, Nelson replied. Amanda, loving you doesn't mean controlling you. Loving you means standing by you, supporting you, and letting you be exactly who you are and who you want to be. Amanda took a shaky breath. Her guard was crumbling. The walls she had spent years building suddenly felt unnecessary. Nelson, she whispered, I've been so scared of repeating my parents' mistakes, scared that loving someone would mean losing myself. But somehow, with you, everything feels so different. With you, I finally feel like myself, and I am so much in love with you too. Nelson's eyes softened with relief and happiness. Sorry, say that again, he whispered. Amanda smiled faintly through her tears. I love you, Nelson. I don't know how you did it, but you made me fall so hard for you. Without another word, he gently cupped her face and kissed her. It was soft, warm, and filled with the promise of something new, something safe and true. When they pulled apart, he pressed his forehead against hers, whispering, No shrinking, Amanda, I promise. She believed him. For the first time, she fully believed him. Amanda didn't just change overnight. Even after that emotional night with Nelson, she still needed the time to breathe, the time to trust, and the time to let go of fear without feeling like she was giving up control. So they started slow again. Nelson gave her space. He didn't show up uninvited or pressure her to make decisions. Instead, he texted good morning and good night. He sent food when she was too tired to cook. He walked beside her instead of trying to lead her, and Amanda noticed everything he did intentionally. They spent long evenings walking through the estate after work. Sometimes they talked about baby names. Other times they said nothing at all, just enjoying each other's company and the peace between the both of them. When her morning sickness kicked in, he stocked her fridge with ginger tea and crackers. When her ankles started swelling, he bought her comfy, beautiful sandals in different colors. Every time he showed up for her, without asking for anything in return, Amanda's heart opened a little more. She stopped shutting him out. She started inviting him in, and they grew more intimate. Then, one Sunday morning, Nelson stood by watching her, a soft smile on his face. Babe, he said. She looked up. Yes, darling. He walked over her, and knelt in front of her. He held out a small box. I don't have a big speech. I just have a heart that wants to love you forever. Please, do me this honor and be my wife. Not because you have to, but because you want to. Amanda blinked, stunned. There was no fancy setup, no crowd, no camera, just them, the both of them, just love. She reached for his hand, tears in her eyes. She whispered, "Yes, Nelson, I'll be your wife." They held each other quietly, the baby kicking gently between them. The wedding was small, just like she wanted, a simple civil ceremony with only close family and friends. Becky cried the entire time and kept yelling. She said, "Yes, my friend is getting married." Amanda wore a simple ivory gown and her glow came from the inside. Mrs. Morgan was radiant with pride. Amanda's sister, who lived abroad, was also present, excited for her sister's newfound love. Nelson held her hand the whole time, not tightly, not possessively, just enough to let her know he was right there. A few weeks later, Amanda and Nelson traveled abroad together to await the baby's arrival in a calm and private environment. She had chosen a quiet hospital, far from noise, from pressure, and close to peace. On a rainy morning in early spring, Amanda gave birth to a healthy baby girl with her father's quiet eyes. They named her Eliora. Nelson kissed Amanda's forehead. "She's perfect, babe, just exactly like you." Amanda smiled, feeling so grateful for the support Nelson had showed her. Amanda returned home to Nigeria 6 weeks after giving birth. She stepped off the plane holding Eliora to her chest, wrapped in a soft yellow fabric. The Lagos sun greeted them like an old friend, warm and unrelenting. Nelson wheeled the suitcase behind them, wearing a quiet smile and his usual calm. Mrs. Morgan was waiting at the arrival lounge, almost dancing in place. The moment she saw Amanda, she rushed forward, grabbing her daughter and granddaughter in a tearful hug. "You did it, my baby. You did it," she whispered. "I did it, Mom. We did it." Nelson stepped forward. "Good afternoon, Ma," he greeted. Mrs. Morgan gave him a proper hug. "Thank you, Nelson, for being exactly who she needed." That weekend, Mrs. Morgan transformed their modest compound into a celebration ground. A canopy was erected, a caterer was hired, there were coolers of rice, beans, stew, vegetable soup, and moi moi, drinks stacked high, a DJ spinning both old school high life and Afrobeats. "It is for the culture," Mrs. Morgan said. "You people may have done a small naming ceremony back in Canada, but this particular one is for us, for our roots." Amanda laughed. "Mommy, you just want to show off your granddaughter." Mrs. Morgan didn't deny it. "Of course. Have you seen how beautiful my granddaughter looks?" Amanda laughed. The party drew everyone close. Neighbors, aunties, colleagues from the office, Amanda's staff and family from both sides. But no one was louder than her friend Becky. She wore a custom-made Ankara gown and carried Eliora like she had bettered her herself. "Excuse me, please," she said proudly to anyone who came near. "Make way for Auntie Number 1, VIP babysitter and personal baby whisperer." Amanda shook her head, laughing. "Becky, please bring her. She needs to be fed." "No, you've been holding her in for 9 months. Now it's my turn." Amanda was excited. She danced anyway, free, light, happily. She held Eliora again after breastfeeding her. Her little heartbeat nested against her chest. Her eyes always searching for Nelson across the crowd. He was there, smiling, watching, occasionally swaying to the music, but he never took his eyes off them. Later that evening, as the sun dipped low and the last of the guests lingered, Amanda stood by the gate, swaying gently with Eliora asleep on her shoulder. Nelson came to her, wrapping an arm around her waist. "Exhausted, right?" he asked. "A little," she said, leaning into him. He kissed her forehead. Amanda looked at the sleeping baby in her arms, then at the man who stood beside her without ever trying to stand in front of her. Her story hadn't gone the way she expected it. She hadn't followed the timeline everyone had set. She didn't get married like her sister at 21 or even at 27. She didn't fall into a fairy tale. She didn't become invisible after motherhood. Instead, she had rewritten the story. And now, when people asked her if she had always wanted a husband, Amanda smiled and said, "No, but I've always wanted a support system and a happy place, and I found it all in Nelson." And that was more than enough for her. The story teaches that love should never come at the cost of losing oneself. It shows that it is okay to want things differently, to take your time, and to define happiness on your own terms. Real love supports, listens, and gives room to grow. Most importantly, it reminds us that family, peace, and partnership built on mutual respect matter more than pressure, timelines, or appearances. Thank you so much for watching this fantastic story on African Stories by Tiana. Please don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell for more amazing stories. See you next time.